Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Guitar Guts podcast hosted by me, Mark Murray. My guest today is the very cool Logan Ryan, aka GuitarChugs from Arizona. He's a 15-year-old guitar player, man, and he's already hosting interviews with musicians and bands that come through his area. And he started up a podcast and got a PV sponsorship and a couple other really cool things. So we're going to talk about all that stuff with him, go into, he got pulled up on stage at one of the really sweet concert that came through his area, and all kinds of stuff, go through his guitar collection with them. Hey guys, before we get into the episode, I got a special announcement. I got a brand new Halloween cover album coming out next week on Spotify, Pandora, everywhere you listen to your music. It's under the band name, the California Werewolves. It's all Halloween theme songs, and the idea is you play it at your Halloween parties, play it all month at work, tell your friends about it, rock it all October long. This is a band with my fiance and a couple of my really close friends that we put together, and we play cover songs, and last Halloween we played a bunch of songs. We went into the studio, recorded high quality versions of them, put a ton of time into it, and they came out awesome. What you're listening to now is actually one of the songs. Recognize it? It's Thriller. We also did the Ghostbusters theme song, which if you listen at the end of the podcast, I'm going to do a preview of that whole song so you can hear a week before it comes out anywhere. You'll get to hear it here at the end of the show. So stick around after the podcast and it'll play automatically. Now, let's welcome my guest, Logan Ryan, aka GuitarChugs. Logan, welcome to the show, man. It's good to see you. Good to talk to you.
Thank you. It's great to be on here. Super excited.
I saw that you were over, at your dad's house for like the summer or something, and you just got back?
Yeah, so every summer, so like 2 months, June, July, I spend there. And then winter, like that winter break time, about like 2 to 3 weeks there in the winter. So yeah, every summer I'm usually there, and I'm usually not pumping out as many videos, so that's when the follower count kind of staggers for a little bit, but it's all good.
I saw you were still posting some videos from there. So does he play guitar? Because you had like a whole nother rig you were jamming through there.
Yeah, because my brother lived there until he recently moved out this summer. But yeah, he plays bass actually, but he has a bunch of guitars as well because my brother lived there. He played bass and his current New York hardcore band, and then one that was pretty big in the local upstate area. The previous one was called Wartime Manor, and the current one is Dead and Dying. So people usually see me wearing those shirts. But yeah, he's been playing bass since he was about my age, like 12, 13, a little younger than me. So yeah.
Wow. So your dad lives in New York?
Yeah, he lives back east. So does my brother. And I live back here in Arizona with my other side of the family, so yeah.
Oh, dude, that's cool. You get to kind of go back and forth and check out two completely different areas. I've never been to New York. I want to go so bad.
Yeah, Arizona is a lot different. I always call it California without an ocean because it's pretty much the same thing, just we don't have a coastline or forth, but Arizona, it's a lot different. New York, there's definitely a bigger impact on the heavier scene with the whole hardcore stuff pretty much starting in New York City and upstate. So yeah, I definitely like going there and meeting just being able to hang out with all the people I know back there involved with the scene. So yeah, it's definitely a good time.
I've been to Arizona a few times. I have a bunch of friends who transplanted there. It seems like pretty much everyone who lives in like Phoenix is all transplants.
Yeah, but pretty much most people that I meet aren't actually from Arizona. Everyone just seems to kind of move here because there's no snow. So,
and no earthquakes, right?
Yeah, I've never felt an earthquake. Pretty much all we get is monsoons towards the end of July.
Yeah, you guys get those crazy dirt storms, right?
Yeah, if it's really dry, it's nothing crazy, but you'll get a light sandstorm where it's hazy out and it'll get really humid, and outside will be a little dusty, maybe for like a day. But I haven't probably seen a dust storm in almost a year, probably. So.
Okay, that's not bad then.
Yeah.
I was visiting one of my buddies out there, and we rode on inner tubes down like this these rivers. Everybody goes down the rivers and they bring ice chests and pretty fun.
Yeah, that's I can't. It's either a bit south or a bit north because I live in Mesa, right near Phoenix, so that's kind of central. Because up north we have like some forest and some woods, which we'll go camping in. And down south is more of when you start getting closer to Mexico. That's where there's all the canyon, the real desert with the big rivers that people will tube down. So yeah, it's definitely a lot more than people think is here. So
I'm impressed by you, man. I was looking through your page, and you've scored some sweet interviews with a bunch of dudes that are like the
yeah,
music that you really love.
yeah, I pretty much have to put all the thanks to the big ones like Phil Demmel and Alex Skolnick and those guys. I have to thank the AR head, who I'm good friends with over at PV, because that guy pretty much knows everybody. So he's hooked me up with those really big ones that I wasn't able to really get in contact with. So that all the thanks go to him for that.
Oh, so that's who originally set you up with them.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a background with Phil from Violence and Machine Head because he's seen my stuff on Instagram and at the Machine Head show last year, the NVR thing. So he was aware of me, but Alex was definitely out of my reach, which is really cool because Testament is one of the greats, especially for the Bay Area thrash.
Dude, so who have you interviewed now? I saw you have a bunch of them up on your YouTube channel.
I've done for people on Instagram. I did Peyton 60 Second Metal, and then Matt, who's a good friend of mine, and Pro Guitar. But besides that, I did Chase and Conan from Exmortus, who are really cool dudes. I've been talking to them for a while. They're just awesome, super kind. Iced Earth's new lead guitarist, Jake Dreyer, who plays in a band called Witherfall. I was able to get in contact with him on Instagram. I've only done maybe about 10 or a little over, but I always have trouble remembering them all. Obviously, Phil and Alex, and then Wiley from Sacred Reich, actually, all those guys in the band live in my area, so Wiley was super cool. He has a killer burger place called Rehab Burger Therapy down here that he owns. I've gone to like once or twice. They're all super cool dudes, but I'm having trouble remember. I know there's one that I forgot from some really cool one. And I'm gonna pinch myself for not remembering it later, but oh well.
So are you still doing your podcast too?
Yeah, I don't consider it a podcast because it's sort of unprofessional. It's really, most of them are pretty low quality, and I've been trying to do more in person, getting out to more shows and connecting with more people in person, which I like doing the online interview stuff, but if I don't have the quality to make it as high quality as people want it, I don't enjoy it as much. But I definitely enjoy the live ones. But I talked to like a few weeks ago. I said something to Joey. I'm gonna butcher his last name, like Concepcion or something like that. He's the touring guitarist for Sanctuary, and he does all the like demo videos for Jackson. I mentioned it to him, and I think he said he'd be down to do something, but I didn't want to start anything until I got back to AZ, and I just forgot about it until now. But besides that, I don't really have anything else really coming up. I'll have to try and think of something, find some shows happening in the area.
Yeah, man, that's really cool.
Yeah,
You're getting such an early start with this stuff.
yeah, that's what people tend to tell me, and I it's just what I love to do, so I might as well pursue it as best as I can. So,
Who would be like your top couple dream people that you would love to interview and have on?
um, well, I was able to do Phil, who's a really cool guy, and he plays in two of my favorite bands. Um, David Sanchez from Havoc. That's who I was forgetting. That was a recent one too. But probably It's really hard to say because I already did two of my like bigger guys that I really enjoy, like Alex and Phil, but probably Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden. Um, I off the top of my head, if I sat there and thought about it, I could think, but and even non-related to music, there's like horror icons that I would love to interview, like Kane Hodder, who played Jason in some of the older movies, and Nick Castle, who originally played Michael Myers. I'd love to branch out outside of the metal community a bit and get some other guys to interview. So
That's cool. So you're into all those old movies like that?
yeah, I think I saw my first horror movie when I was about 8 or 9, and it was an older movie, more of an indie movie called Pumpkinhead, which is one of my favorites. But after that, I just loved the whole like slasher movie things. Like I watched Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street, and I love all that. I got the Michael Myers mask behind me. I love all those horror movies. I'm a huge horror geek, so.
That's cool, man. I used to love Freddy. He was my favorite.
Yeah, I'm meaning to get my collection up a bit because I've got plenty of music stuff collected, so I'm trying to collect more horror stuff. And I've been on the lookout for a cool, like a quality Freddy glove replica because those movies are awesome.
Yeah, dude. Another thing I saw on your page was when you went up. Was it VIO-LENCE that you went up on stage with?
Yeah.
Dude, what's the story about? What was that like? Like, tell me about that.
That's a bit of a funny story because I've obviously talked to Phil in the past. We knew each other by then because I met him and talked to him for a few at the Metal Allegiance show in March. And the VIO-LENCE show was June 1st. And it was either Phil was doing a live that night or that morning. And I asked them if they were playing a certain song. And then in the live, he asked me, because he knew I was watching, if I knew any of the songs that they were playing, because the 2 or the 3 songs I knew at the time were songs that they weren't doing on the set list. So after that, he messaged me asking me if I knew, and if I didn't, to learn Kill on Command, the song I did with them, which is another one of my favorites by them. And yeah, it was probably the show. I got to the show at about 6 when it started, and he probably messaged me at about 11 in the morning when they were headed there. So I was pretty much half asleep because it was the weekend I was sleeping in, and I was scrambling to learn the most of the song as I could because I played about half the song with them and then jumped back into the crowd. But yeah, it was definitely definitely the highlight of all of this so far.
Dude, that is incredible. I couldn't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah, Phil's an awesome guy. I've met him a few times. We've talked, and he's exactly how you'd want one of your favorite guitar players that you never even imagined meeting to be. Just such a cool, humble guy. But yeah, it was definitely fun. The crowd was insane, but really cool at the show. I mean, people falling on top of you, trying to jump up on the stage every 5 seconds. It was a good show. Because they played that show with Sacred Reich, I'd probably say that was the best show I've been to.
So, at that point, had you ever performed on stage in front of a crowd?
I have like smaller groups, like with people I know, but never anything like a legitimate show. So that was the first time really being in front of a real crowd where I didn't know any of the people. So it was,
what was the difference like between a big crowd of people you don't know versus an intimate, smaller crowd of people you do know?
well, when it's the people I do know, when it's the people you don't know at the show, they're all there. You feel a bit less nervous doing it and just more excited because they're all there for their love for metal and just because they love the genre and the music. So they're going to like it either way. And it's weird because I didn't really notice until you really get up there. You can't really see the crowd all that well. especially when it's a club show and the lights are off in the house and you just have red stage lights at your face. You can see the first few people in the crowd, but it's besides the stage, you can't really see much. So, and I was so focused on just trying not to butcher it that the crowd I didn't really register that a crowd was even there, but it was definitely a crazy good thing to experience.
I've always found the same thing that for me, I used to be in a band in high school, and when we'd play shows, I would be way less nervous if nobody I knew was there, if it was like out of town. But if we were playing locally and my family and friends were going to be there, I'd be like all like nervous in my head, trying not to mess up and just being awkward on stage, not being like loose.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, if it's your family and your friends, they're going to support you, but it's that little thought in your mind that they really enjoy when I'm playing. They're just here because I am, and they're being supportive of it. But it's people you don't know, and they all have a love for the music. It's all those fears really just kind of go away. So.
You got any of your guitars nearby that you could show us one of them?
Yeah, they're all here. I got pretty much all of them. It just depends on which one you really want to see, but this is definitely my favorite of the past since I got it in December. It's a X Series Jackson RR24 XT. It's I think it's an alder body with a maple neck. I'm pretty sure it's 3-piece because this is a neck through. You can kind of see on the back with the paint. But I know it's a rosewood fretboard. The thing I really dig about these Jacksons is the metal or whatever material that is for the scratch plate and the little wing where the strings go through. I think that adds a really cool touch. But this guitar just because I only own 2 Rhodes. Actually, out of all 3 of my Jacksons, this is the only neck through one, and this one, it plays awesome. It sounds awesome with the EMGs, and it only cost me, which is why I love Guitar Center used because they always price things extremely cheap. But I think it only cost me like 300 used or 250, and
dang,
I looked it up. They don't sell the green one with the green binding, but they sell the black one. And I think they go for like 600 new, so it was definitely a steal.
dude, that's a great price for a neck through. That's awesome.
Yeah, I have a guitar that I got coming in the mail from Guitar Center Thursday, which I'm just so it's build suspense for anyone watching. I'm not saying what it is, but it's another one of those killer guitars that should be way more than it was priced at used. And it's something I've been on the hunt for forever, and I'm really happy about it. But that's why I love Guitar Center. They price things extremely, extremely cheap, or they mismarket and call it a cheaper model than what it is. But they can be they're not always the brightest, but it benefits. So.
By the way, I don't want to put you on the spot, but this isn't going to come out for at least a couple weeks. So
yeah.
If you want to say the guitar, you could say it.
Oh yeah, it is a Jackson, but it's a lot of people probably won't even know what it is unless they see the picture, but it's actually called a Jackson Pro Series Stealth model. It's kind of like a soloist, but have you ever seen the Ibanez S Series guitars?
Yeah, they're real thin bodies.
Yeah, it's like that. It's more of a soloist shape, but it has that real thin body, and which is also new for me. It has a humbucker single, which I've never owned before. I've always just owned double humbuckers or all single coils. And yeah, it's actually a 1992 model, I think. And they made them for a year, and they stopped selling them because I think they looked too much like the Ibanez. And everyone says they rival the USA models from the time. So, and I have one friend back in New York who owns the same one, and I played it, and it's one of the best Jacksons you'll ever play. It's insane.
Wow, that sounds so cool. I'm super intrigued by this. What color did you get?
It's like a dark red, kind of like a maroon, like if you've ever seen the Jackson Mick Thomas Lewis dark red finish. It's kind of like that.
Okay, I'm looking them up here. I see the red one.
Yeah,
Oh, cool. These things are really cool looking.
yeah. I really, because I like the soloist, but sometimes those Strat-shaped guitars are just a bit too thick for me. So I was really psyched when I was able to find one of those used because I've been looking forever.
Yeah, it's something really interesting about them too. Like you're saying, they look like kind of like an Ibanez. The jack on the front is even like that angled in, like some of the Ibanez have.
Yeah, I really dig the shape, how to do that thin body, and usually I don't like the Jackson's dot inlays, but I really like the little dots on the side instead of right in the middle. I thought it always looked really clean, and so I'm really excited to get that one.
Yeah, I'm with you on Jackson's. If you got a Rhodes, you want the shark fins, and if you got the like a dinky model, you want like the side dots. The side dots look sweet.
Yeah, yeah, because I've seen some Jackson King V's and Rhodes that look killer, and then they'll have the dots in the middle like a fender,
Like a Fender.
and it'll kind of ruin the vibe for me, even though the guitar will play great. So it's just a weird thing I have.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I agree.
Yeah.
What's your other? So your other Rhodes isn't the same model. I thought they were the same model.
The two Rhodes.
But oh no, your other one has got a Floyd, right?
No, all my Jacksons and my Dean V are hardtails. The Dimebag guitar, this one is my only Floyd, and that's actually blocked off because it's a cheaper Floyd, even though it's one of the higher end models. So I don't know why it has a cheap Floyd on it, but I just put some extra springs and shoved a block of wood in it. But the other Rhodes is actually, this and the King V are actually JS series from a few years back, and I just threw new nuts on them, new pickups, which meant all new wiring, and they have, I don't know what bridges they are, but I forgot what brand, but I got nicer bridges for them. Because these JS series always, like the necks always felt really nice to me, and it's just usually the electronics and the hardware just really wasn't good at all, which what made it feel cheap to me. So, because I've always liked doing that, just getting a cheaper guitar and really just making it really, really cool. Like the Red King V is super, super upgraded.
Yeah, I saw that's the one you have red pickups in.
Yeah, this one, this one for favorite is kind of tied with the black and green Rhodes, just because I love the King V so much. But yeah, this has a bone nut, a bone nut on it. I put the Spurzle locking tuners on it around December. I think it's a Tone Pros bridge. I'm not sure. Yeah, the red EMG 60, I think. And then I had some of these skull knobs. I don't know if you can see them very well.
Oh yeah, little red eyes on them
Little
too.
hockey mask sticker on the back, which it kind of blends in. Then I always just throw the DiMarzio strap on it because they've always been super comfortable to me. But that one is definitely one of my meatiest sounding guitars. That thing just sounds just angry.
So do you not prefer a Floyd?
If I do get a Floyd guitar, it has to be at least a Floyd Rose Special or nicer because I usually just keep them in the same tuning. But if the Floyd doesn't stay put just from being in the same tuning, I can't deal with it and I'll just block it off. But because Floyds have always been super comfortable to me, like playing the Dimebag guitar, the Floyd feels really nice, but I've had a few guitars in the past I've gotten rid of that had the cheaper Floyds, like the licensed ones, and it's too much to deal with. They flop around everywhere and they never stay in tune. So if it's a nice Floyd, though, I can definitely get behind it.
Very cool. And then now you're rocking PV amps.
Yeah, I actually got this PV back in, I think, March of last year, and I didn't. I reached out to them, that's also another funny story, kind of just like a luck thing. Around January, when I actually got back from New York earlier this year in January from being there in December, and I emailed just their website, like their customer service. Brands have section of their website where you can try and send emails for endorsements and stuff. So I did that, and then it somehow got through. It somehow slipped through to Chris Kelly, who's also a good friend of mine now, the head of AR there, and he told me to get in contact with him after NAMM was over. So it was probably a week or two after of me trying to call him and be able to talk to him and make myself sound good, and then he wouldn't answer, then he would try and call me, and I would miss his call. So that went on for about a week, and then he finally did. I was able to get a hold of him, and I basically just told him everything about what I do, and I hadn't really started the interviews at all at this time. At least I don't think I did. And then obviously told him I played Peavy, of course. And then it was something, I think he actually wasn't going to endorse me. And then he wanted to know how old I was, and the age thing kind of helped me out a bit, which I've never, whenever I applied for an endorsement, I've never thrown my age in there or really put that out there, because I don't want people to accept me just because of my age. But and then he saw some of my stuff and he actually asked me to send him 3 original songs after he said he'd endorse me. And then I think I announced it a week or two after, because I wasn't completely sure if it was okay to announce yet. And then it was announced, and then it just took off from there. He was able to get me in contact with Alex and all of them, and stuff has been uphill for there. So PV's definitely helped me out a lot.
Man, it's crazy. Like you said, being 15. How old were you when you started your guitar Instagram page?
I think I started it. It was like a week after I got the white and black roads. I think it wasn't January of this year. I think it was January of last year, maybe. I think it was either January last year or January 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure it was last year, and I started it then. And actually, who helped me out a lot on it was another good friend, Uncle Sasquatch, who everyone knows and loves. And he actually was able to help me out a lot with giving me advice. He was kind of like a mentor. He shouted my page out a lot, helped me with some reasonable amount of people following me so I could go off on my own. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was January last year.
Man, that's crazy. And you're up over 2,600 followers.
I think 26, 24 is the exact number. It's always, I'm at that point right now where I'm not uploading as much, so I'll lose like a follower, then gain 2, then lose 1 every day. So it's kind of been like that, but I'm trying my best to pump out new videos with things starting back up again. So
it's such a trip following. Like, I follow a bunch of younger guys like you, like R2 and you and Caden, and like just over like the 2 or 3 years I've known you guys, you guys have all grown so much. Like physically, you're getting taller, and like you're like all teenagers and stuff. So it's like trippy to watch.
It was last year. If I started it last year, I was 14 when I started it, which sounds right to me, because I think I started playing guitar when I was 12 or 13, and I'm 15 now because I'm born in December. So I've been on here about a year, and I was definitely one of the lucky ones before, because now there's a million people starting pages on Instagram, which is awesome. But I was kind of lucky to just kind of join in before there was so many people joining. So I think it was just kind of luck of the moment for me.
What grade are you going into?
Today was actually my first day, so I just started my first day of 11th.
Oh, okay, cool. So you've been at the same school for a couple years. Do you have what's that?
To school pretty much all my life, just obviously the elementary, then the high school, and the middle school. But yeah.
Do you have the most followers of anybody at your school?
People I know, I think so. I mean, there's always those people that that buy a bunch of fake followers, and just to so they can have fake likes on their selfies and stuff like that. But from what I'm the people that are coming to mind that I know well, I think that will be true.
That's awesome. What motivates you and keeps you? What are your goals, end goals, like with guitar and with everything? Do you want to be in a band, or do you want to continue to do more shows?
Yeah, the end goal is obviously to, like everyone who tries to do what I do, is make it in music somehow, one way or another. I have various other dreams I would like to achieve someday that don't involve music, but the ultimate goal is to find music, but good good metal musicians in this day and age, especially the younger generation like my age, is kind of it's not as it's not as big as it used to be 10 or 20 years ago, and it's always a struggle for me because I'll meet someone like at like a guitar shop that is about my age and plays, and they're good players, but it's always just the conflict of them liking a lot of the newer bands and a lot of the new metal stuff, which I'm not really into. And I've always, because a lot of my influences are more, there's a lot of stuff from the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. And there's a lot of great newer, I've always kind of loved to, and a lot of people these days, especially in newer bands, just kind of will pick one band and just kind of rip them off a lot. And then they just sound kind of like a copy, but I love to listen and learn different kinds of music to really make my original stuff sound as original as I can make it.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but yeah, you're into like real like classic heavy metal, thrash metal, all that. Like I'm thinking back when I was in high school, which was 12 years or 13 years ago or something, and there was like 6 people who knew who the bands were. Like I could wear a Metallica shirt, and really like 6 people even knew who Metallica was. How many kids in your school are into metal and stuff?
I can probably think of probably about for people in my grade, I can't think of anyone who's really into it like I am. I mean, there's people who accept it, and I've never really been I've never really been made fun of or bullied ever for listening to metal, which I can thank for that, and I wouldn't let someone do that. But I can think of like people in younger grades than me that are sort of into some of the bands that I listen to. Usually it's just people who really like Metallica, which is cool because that's what that's what I loved, and like Metallica and Black Sabbath mostly was really why I wanted to start playing.
So that's what the bands that got you into it were?
Yeah, the bands that I was really listening to, well, I kind of liked metal stuff on and off. I always loved my dad's bands, his heavy bands, all my life. I've always supported those and listened to them. But I probably didn't really start listening to metal until probably about like 8th grade, which is like 3 or 4 years ago. And the bands that really, really inspired me there's a few. Typo Negative's always been one of my favorites. Iron Maiden and Metallica were really the bands that really got me into metal when I always loved like Typo Negative and stuff. So I'd say it was Iron Maiden, Metallica, Black Sabbath, and Typo Negative that really got me into it, and just really made me want to start playing. And then I started to find players who I really liked when I started listening to it more.
Is that so? You asked your dad like, "Hey, I'm getting into metal now. Can you or did you just grab a guitar that was around, or did he get you one, or how'd that work?"
Well, I started playing in 8th grade, shortly after I really got into metal, and I don't even remember what time of the year it was, but when my brother moved, he moved to New York the summer of that year, so that was about like 4 or 5 years ago. He moved back there with Dad, and then he left like a $100 Epiphone Les Paul Special, like the ones with the really bad wraparound bridges, and it was like a black guitar, and it had like size 13 strings on it for some unknown reason, tuned to E, and he left like a little digital Fender amp, so it was always around, so that's what I learned on. And then when I started getting decent, I knew a few songs, and that's when I really wanted my own guitar. So I had some money saved up, and then my dad was able to send me out the rest of the money for this guitar, which is my first real guitar that was mine. It was like on sale for $70 at Guitar Center. It's a ESP LTD N10, and this is the one that's actually signed by Alice Cooper when I met him. And yeah, it's actually, I like this guitar a lot. It has some pickup problems in it though that I need to get the wiring figured out, which I don't play it much anyways because I've always wanted to just preserve it, especially after I got it signed and stuff like that. But that was my first guitar that I could actually call mine.
Yeah, that thing's pretty sweet. I've never seen you play with that one before.
I think I've posted one cover. I think it was a Danzig cover, like a few, probably like 4 months ago, a few months before I went out to New York. But besides that, I haven't posted anything else with that guitar because sometimes the pickups will work and it'll sound fine, and then sometimes, most of the time, it just makes no sound at all. So I need to figure that out, but it's, with all the other stuff I want to get, it's never been on the top list of priorities.
I think that thing should go on the wall behind you, like as wall art.
I actually have some. I'm running out of room space, but on this wall right here, which you can sometimes see in my videos, I have a guitar hanger where I have some of the pictures from when I met him, and some other pictures I have framed, and which is funny because I actually brought my my Megadeth Rust in Peace CD to get signed by him because I know he produced a lot of Dave Mustaine's other stuff they did in Megadeth, so I didn't have any of his CDs or records, but I usually hang. It kind of moves around I usually just hang the Dimebag guitar on it though because it fits better than on the rack, and then I usually put the Alice Cooper one there. But I'd like to get another guitar hanger and hang that one up too, especially I have like 2 more spaces available on the rack, so definitely need to clear some space up.
You mentioned when you got sponsored, I think by Peavey, you sent in some songs that you had written.
Yeah, they were all like they were all, I kind of just threw a few riffs together that I already had kind of floating around that I would jam with together to where they sounded good, and they were only like maybe 2.5 minutes long, and I came up with them quick just because I wanted to have something to send to him. It was nothing I worked on for a long time. It was just kind of stuff I already had been playing, and I really liked the sound of, and just put it together into a few minutes of riffs, and he liked it, so.
Did the trick.
Yeah.
That's cool. Are you going to continue to keep writing songs? And
I mean, yeah, as a guitar player, I feel like, and I feel like everyone does this. I'm guessing I'm not the only one, but I feel like most guitar players are always just coming up with just new riffs and stuff that sounds cool. And I think I actually have one that I was working on like a lot the past week, like 2 weeks, that I have to get it down better a little more, practice it a bit, but I actually finished to where it didn't sound weird, or it actually sounded good to me. And I posted a first part to it on here on Instagram, I think like a few days ago. So I'm definitely always writing riffs. I don't always get around to putting them out onto Instagram, but I'm definitely always trying to pump them out. And for the day where a band is created, I can just have all these riffs to use.
So you live at your mom's house. Does she get mad when you start cranking your amp too loud or anything?
It was, well, no, she doesn't, but when I first got into the whole metal genre, because my dad's not really religious, my mom is more religious, so at first it was kind of a conflict of not really liking it, and then once I started really getting into it, she didn't really care anymore, and she's definitely very supportive now, and she helps out a lot with a lot of stuff. But she's never really, as long as it's not ear-piercingly loud in the house, then they're fine with it. I can, and the awesome thing about this amp, because it's a 20-watt tube head, which isn't, I mean, it's definitely loud enough to gig with, but I have a 4x12 PV cab, so that definitely boosts the volume up, and especially the bass that goes throughout the house. So, but what I love about it is it has a wattage switch, so I go down from 20 to 5 to even 1 watt. So
Wow, 1 watt? How quiet is that?
if it's during the middle of the day when there's other noises going on, it's definitely really quiet. And it's nice though, because if it's like 11 at night or 12 o'clock at night, I can play it at hearable volume, because I've never really enjoyed playing guitar through headphones. I've always thought it sounded a bit fuzzy. It never sounds as good. So it definitely helps a lot, but as long as it's during the day, as long as the neighbors don't hear it and it's not making the dog freak out downstairs, then it's pretty much good.
So 15, what else do you do with your time? If you're not playing guitar, how do you spend your time?
I mean, as most teenagers do, go to school, hang out with friends on weekends, play guitar. I'm really not, I'll do a lot of other stuff, then I really probably don't play as much as I should. I get kind of distracted easily unless I'm jamming through songs. But I mean, like most other younger people, I'll do things like play Xbox. I recently got the Friday the 13th game on the Xbox, which I've been addicted to lately. Should probably be practicing, and I've actually, I'm trying to start up a thing where I'm gonna start making my own Friday the 13th Jason hockey masks, because that's always been my favorite all-time horror movie and pretty much movie overall. And so I ordered one just for me, because I'm gonna get a few for me. And there's great YouTube tutorials out there showing you how to paint them and make them look dirty and nasty, just like how they are in the movies. So I'm gonna, because being a fan and someone who loves to collect stuff, whether it's music or movies, it's all those replicas that you want to get online of anything are so expensive, like $80 for a mask that someone, or so I figured out I can get sturdy, like blank masks with no paint on them, just white, for like $3 on eBay. Paint them myself and then sell them for $25 and make a good bit of profit. So,
dude, that's awesome.
so yeah, I'm gonna try and get that up. The thing is, the masks come from China, so they take like 2 weeks to get here. So once I make a few for my own, just to have on display, I'll probably order like 5 or 10 of them at the same time, and then it'll cost me like $30 to do that. And then I'm gonna try and when I do at least one to see how it looks, I'll probably post something on Instagram asking if people are interested.
Dude, so why would you want to make a couple? Is it different styles for different movies that they use in?
Yeah, because in the different movies, at least in the original series, that there's drastic differences that go along with the plot of the movies, where something will be slightly different, and then I think it would just be, because I could just make one, but I know I'll probably have too much fun and want to buy another one, and they're so cheap. It's hard to not, but.
Wow, dude, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I've been trying to get into that a bit more.
So when you make your videos, are you direct input off your amp, or do you mic your cab?
I do direct input. The PV has where you plug in the cable that goes to the interface, and then it has, which I really like, a speaker defeat button on the back to just kill the output from the speaker. So I can have the amp silent, just going through the interface, so I can crank it up a bit more, and it won't be blasting the paint off the walls. And I actually, everyone else that I've told about this, all my guys I talk to on Instagram have never heard this, but all the computer stuff, like recording audio and video separate, it's just, it looks and sounds great for the people who do it, but it's always just seemed like too complicated for me, where it would almost seem like work, and I wouldn't enjoy it as much. So I was able to get well, I bought an audio splitter cable, like a left-right audio cable off of Amazon or something, which plugs into the back of the interface, and then a little adapter, which I plug that into, and the adapter goes straight into the headphone jack on my phone. And then the video and the audio is recorded all at the same time. I'm still trying to perfect the sound of it with seeing which amp settings sound the best on it and which way I turn the knob sounds the best on the interface. But it's definitely not everyone's way of doing it, but it's simple for me and I enjoy it that way.
So, don't you have backing tracks on some of your recordings?
I used to when I would just record with my phone's camera audio. I would have on my speaker system in the background playing a song, but I actually, because to put the titles into the videos, I just use iMovie, and I know you can put a backing track to it, and I've tried before, but I think you have to own the song to do that. Like you have to purchase it or bought the CD and download it to your phone. So it's just I'm not gonna buy the song for every cover I do. So I just and when I just me playing the song, I feel like I have a bit more freedom if I want to add something or change it change it up in one spot a bit, which I'd like to do because if I did that with a backing track, people would tell me I was playing it wrong or it
Yeah.
was good.
Well, I've noticed your quality keeps improving, and your page is looking good. Anything in the future that you want to change, or do you have any ideas to add any features or anything to really, I don't know.
I'm pretty satisfied with the audio now, except for just needing to make a little tweaks on the amp and perfect the tone in the videos. But I would like to, because I have a iPhone 6S that's years old, been handed down a million times through different family members. So it has a decent enough camera on it, but I would like to get a nicer, like an actual camera that has some kind of the same input jack as my phone does, where I'd be able to do the same thing I do with the video and audio recording at the same time. So pretty much I just like to only improve my camera quality is all.
So that's an iPhone. Oh, so iPhone 6 had the headphone jack, and you can get a splitter that would go in there, and you could just plug your interface right in.
I can actually grab it quick, the cords.
That's really cool. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that on an iPhone.
This cord, I'll put this down. This is the splitter cord, so these two ends plug into the interface in the back of it, and then this end plugs into this little thing, which was like $2 on Radio Shack's website, and then it just plugs right into there, and then that goes into the input on your phone, and it just records it all at once.
That's awesome. I didn't know that iPhones did that.
Yeah, because it was actually really cheap to improve my audio because I bought one of the Behringer interfaces, which are, they work just as well as the Focusrite, just made out of plastic on the outside. And that cost me like $30 on Amazon. And then I had to buy a mic cable for like $10 to plug into the interface to the amp. And then that adapter and that splitter cost me like $10 together, I think. The whole thing only cost me a little under $50.
It's crazy. I've got a GoPro, and I've been trying to do that same thing for years with a GoPro, and they charge like $50 or $100 for a cable, so you can plug your audio input into your GoPro.
Yeah, because I could find the video again, because it was a video I found looking up how to do it, and it had the links to all of it. I know all the things. I know the little adapter only cost me like $3 or $4 on Radio Shack. I think the mic cable and the splitter cord I got from Amazon, which only cost me like $15 together. So I'm guessing if GoPro has something like the headphone jack on the iPhone, then I'm guessing it would work the same.
No, that's the thing. The GoPro has like some weird kind of like it's a GoPro type of connection, and other companies make like what looks like the same cable that would plug in. And I even bought one for like $20 instead of like 50 or whatever it is, but it wouldn't work. And then I read the reviews and everybody's saying it won't work with the GoPro. And I was like, gosh, why'd I buy that one?
Yeah.
But all right. Well, dude, I mean, I don't know. I think we covered pretty much everything. Anything else that we need to go over before we get out of here?
I can't think of much, but I don't have the best memory, so.
Well, dude, it was really cool to talk to you and get to know you better, Logan. And people can follow you at GuitarChugs on Instagram. And do you have like a URL for your YouTube channel, or how do people find that?
Go with my page on Instagram.
Oh, so link in the bio. Perfect. All right, dude.
Talking to you, so it was a fun time to be on here.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. And in the future, I want to do like some group episodes, so I'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, man. Have a good night, dude.
Hey, you too.
See you later. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Next week up on the show, we have Charles Caswell from Buried Alive. It's going to be an awesome episode. I know because I already recorded it. And as promised, here is a sampling of the Halloween album. This is Ghostbusters. Remember to search for the California Werewolves on Spotify and all those things starting sometime probably the second week of October. Spread the word, tell your friends, listen at work, listen at the gym, put it on your playlists. That's the biggest thing, man. Play it all the time. Thanks so much for listening, and here's the song.
Something strange in your neighborhood. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! If there's something weird and it don't look good, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! I ain't afraid of no ghosts. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Seeing things running through your head. Who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters!
An invisible man sleeping in your bed. Who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters! I ain't afraid of no ghosts. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Tell you something.
Bustin' makes me feel good.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts. And when it comes through the door, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Unless you just want some more. Bustin' makes me feel good. I think you better call Ghostbusters. Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call?